Welcome back to the Common Centsibility podcast brought to you by Red Crown Credit Union. We have a special guest here today, Coach David Day with the Pryor Public Schools Innovation Center. Thanks for coming out, Coach Day.
Thanks for having me.
So I just want to give you a little bit of time to give a very brief introduction of who you are, how you got into coaching and then moving on to the Innovation Center.
Well, I started off coaching. I really didn't know what I wanted to do in college. And so I changed my major several times, spent a lot of time in college. I had a good time in college. But once I started working at 87's basketball camps, I figured out, man, this is what I want to do. And after that, I had 21 hours of 4-point, 18 hours of 4-point. Met my wife, she kind of settled me down too. So, and from there, I started coaching and loved it, started teaching, loved it as well. And it's just been a passion for me from what I've done. But back in 2020, it really didn't have anything to do with COVID. I'd already made the decision. I had pulmonary embolism in November and realized, I want to spend much time with my daughter and my wife because basketball takes a lot from you. It takes a lot of time. And she was a junior in high school and she played golf, and she'd always been one of my managers. So she'd always been around the game, she'd get the gym till 11 o'clock at night with me. So she didn't have much time to get to the golf course. So I realized, this is her time. And so, Dr. Raleigh was our superintendent at the time. And I talked to him and said, hey, I want to get out. And we made work. And I started I actually was our online director at the time. And so I worked with, got to spend more time with her at the golf course after school because I wasn't going to the gym every day. But, and then it turned into when we made the move to the Innovation Center out at RS, you asked me if I wanted to be the director. And I said, sure. That's what I've been ever since.
That's awesome story. Glad you got to this path because that's what we're going to talk about today. We'll talk about the Innovation Center. So for those who don't know what the Innovation Center is, give us a brief walkthrough of what that looks like for not only the community and the students, but the future as well.
So the Innovation Center is just classes that are offered and a lot of industry-based, skill-based classes, especially with technology. We are located on RSU Pryor's campus in the Mid-America Industrial Park. We have different classes and they're set up a little different. We have applied engineering, computer science, graphic design, CAD, VR programming, robotics, an EMT internship, an HVAC internship, a capstone class. And then this year I've taken back over all of our internships. So we have all those classes out there and they're set up differently. It depends on the class. So, but kids can do those and kind of figure out what they want to do. A lot of times it's trying to figure out where you want to go in life. And just like me with basketball, I think once kids figure out what they want to do, they're going to get after it. But unfortunately, a lot of kids don't know what they want to do. So they're just doing school, and don't really have a vision for what they want to do when they graduate.
So what program or project are you most excited about this year?
Well, that changes every year. It seems like we're changing stuff out there all the time. We kind of roll with the flow. We just recently had one of our instructors, David Eisenbart. We'd hired him and he'd been over there for the last 2 years out with us. And he had done our robotics and our graphic design class. And he had also done the TSA class. But he decided to retire this year. And so we have a new instructor coming in and he's going to be teaching Project Lead the Way, which is an applied engineering class. And he's also going to be taking over the graphic design and some robotics. So I'm really kind of excited about the Project Lead the Way engineering class. Josh Fisher is our new instructor and he's already taught the engineering essentials class. And so it's going to be an engineering essentials as our first year. The next year is going to move into an advanced manufacturing, which is a new Project Lead the Way class that they piloted last year. They started this year, and he's actually going to training next week in Kansas City for. And we're working on some credit opportunities for RSU with that class. So that's one I'm really kind of excited about. So I'm also excited about our internships. I started our internship program back in 2016 or 17. And with the change, I didn't take it anymore. I lost control of it. I mean, which was fine. I gave it up, but I'm taking it back over. So I'm kind of excited about our internship program as well. We're going to do a 3-day boot camp prior to school starting, where they have to learn professional skills and learn how to write professional email, how to do resume building, um, even all sorts of different interviews. And so they're going to learn all those things. We're providing lunch. So we're doing a 3-day boot camp, and I'm excited about that as well.
So, sorry to put you on the spot, but something popped in my head, and maybe you remember it, maybe you don't. But a couple of years ago, you wanted to show me a project that you were working on. Your students were working on for some sort of maybe a contest or something, where you were building an app to sell ads. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
What had happened with that?
Well, the 3 students that did that, they started with the Mid A Cup, which is a Shark Tank event that's sponsored by Mid America. And they built that. They actually built it. It worked. They actually, honestly, they got offered $30,000 for startup money for the app. They turned it down. Real. The people, the persons that were offering them money, they felt wanted too much control, percentage of their company, and they would actually have to go back and ask. They knew they had to go back and ask for more money. And the second time they'd have to go back and ask, they would eventually have control of the company and they would lose control. And so it was a great learning experience for high school students. And I'm not sure that that's exactly how it would have happened, but that's what they felt. So they decided not to continue with it. All 2 of those students have created their own LLC. And one of those students is actually working for a company in the park. If that just, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Good to know. Actually, that kind of answers one of my questions of success story. Yeah. That's awesome. So it sounds like the Innovation Center is that alternative. Like, you may not know exactly what you want to do. You may not play sports. Maybe you do play sports, but it's saying, hey, because when I was in high school, we didn't have graphic design. We had computers.
Sure.
So this is given that opportunity. So maybe with, like, if you're talking about, maybe being able to save time, save money, get college credit, things like that in the future. Is that something even possible with this?
Yeah. Well, so like the one I'm excited about, the Project Lead the Way, we're actually, with Dr. Raleigh being at RSU now, we're actually looking at some PLA credits, which is prior learning assessment. And so students could, if we get the MOU worked out where we're going to crosswalk our curriculum with Rogers State University in Project Lead the Way curriculum. And if that works out, then maybe we could get an hour of credit for this class or 3 hours of credit for this class. And how PLA works is the students know that they get the PLA credit, but they have to enroll at RSU. Once they enroll at RSU and get 12 hours of credit at RSU, then the credit that they've done kicks in. So you can't just take it and say it's RSU credit, transfer somewhere. So that's kind of how it works. So there's opportunities for that. We are working on that. We're working on some CAD opportunities as well. So yes, that is one way. Our students also can take college credit at our high school through RSU, because we have teachers that teach, so they could teach, they could take college algebra, get their gen eds out of the way. So there's opportunity for students to get, depending on how much they want to take, they could get some of their gen eds and some PLA credit out of the way too.
That is amazing. How many roughly percentage or number students from Pryor are a part of the Innovation Center?
So it depends. And I forgot to even mention our aviation program is titled under there. It's not housed under the Innovation Center. Our aviation program is titled underneath there as well. And I forgot to mention esports. Esports is out there as well. So
I was going to ask about that.
So we've got so many things going. It's hard to keep up, and it changes every year. We've gone from approximately having 70 so many students to 120, and this year was our biggest number. And I really don't think it's going to go above that. I think it will actually drop this year. There's been some changes that we're making, but when you start new programs, we start with 4 kids our first year out there, plus maybe 10. Well, I bet we started with 20, maybe. One teacher started with 4, and now he's got the majority of our students. So it varies, but yeah, I would say from the 70 to 120 range.
So we'll get back to some of the questions I want to talk about esports and aviation, but when you're talking about school districts in Oklahoma or maybe across the country, what other, or maybe maybe you don't know, other school districts that even have anything like this?
Broken Arrow has Vanguard Academy, which is it's a really cool built facility. If you haven't seen that, you go by and look at it. It's awesome. It's it's very similar to this. They set theirs up a little bit differently than we do, but one of the things we try to work. I mean, I don't know other than that. I mean, a lot of schools have some STEM buildings. Ponca City's built a new one. They had a different STEM facilities, but they're not set up exactly like ours. And a lot of the bigger schools have an opportunity because they have more teachers. I have two teachers out at the Innovation Center that teach all of this, and that's not include aviation is a different one. But so we have to make it work, if that makes sense. And we do it in various ways. One of the things is like Mr. Scott, he will do our computer science, our CAT, our VR programming, and he'll have all those in one class at one time. And we use online learning, or he has created the classes in our LMS for online. So our students can get work asynchronous. They can work as they go, and he provides instruction. Now, it's not most ideal. Direct instruction would be the best, but it has to work. That's how it has to work. But that allows us to have a kid that can work on Python programming, and we may have one kid take that class. Where if we had one kid and it was one class, it wouldn't make, because we can't justify having a teacher for one student. But this way we can do it. So we had different kids. We may have a kid taking Python programming, engineering essential. Computer science essentials, computer science, CSA. So we have different classes going on at the same time.
So this is going to be a loaded question, because what it sounds like to me is maybe the direction that we may have to go to with AI, and it may be because one, you may be able to learn. I've learned a lot just using AI, different aspects, but being able to have an a la carte education system.
Actually, it's ironic. Yesterday, I put stuff into AI, saying, "How can I create basically an individual education plan, an IEP?" Which a lot of times we IEPs we think special ed. Well, an individual education plan would be for anybody. So how can we create an individual education plan for one student based on their math scores, their reading scores, their comprehension scores, and use it for one class, where one student may be working on at this reading level, and one meeting the needs of all those students. And Claude shot it out to me pretty good and said, "We're set up at the Innovation Center to do this perfectly because we control our own class." So we may be looking at doing something like that in the future. AI is, it's gonna change a lot of things.
So with that brings another question in my mind, though, and this is something I'm seeing is, okay, you have this individual style of learning. Does that truly set up a student for a collaborative workforce? Do you have collaboration with your students, even though they may be only taking one class by themselves? Is there still that collaborative education piece?
Well, yeah, that was back to that, just that AI piece. The thing I wanted to do is I wanted the teacher to still have the direct instruction, but we test the students pre-test. Where are they? Give them the direct instruction, and then after we figure out where that student is, then we use the AI piece to match their curriculum that they need within that. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then our students still have to work together because everything we do is project based. So the collaboration has to be there. The communication still has to be there. The project management still has to be there. So all those things still have to be there as they're going to enter a workforce. Because those, even creative thinking's got to be there. So those are the things, those are the skills that we need to develop in our students as they enter the workforce. Unless they just want to go into the service industry, and that's about it. But you understand what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, no, that answers my. Because that's the one thing. That's the fear, is that we're getting to a society that's so individualized that that I want to do it this way. So, well, unfortunately, it's not quite how it works.
Sure.
Unless you're start your own business, then go do it. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
But if you want to get into a business already established, we have processes, we have rules, we have laws, we have regulations. You have to do it this way sometimes, unfortunately. That's great information. So I kind of want to go back to the aviation and esports because I remember a few years ago we sponsored, I think, an esport event for you all. I think you did like a drone tournament or something like that. So what is that? Give us an understanding of what that looks like.
So we had an aviation. We were one of the 5 schools in the state of Oklahoma who were, I guess, aviation excellence schools, and we had to host an event, and you sponsored the event for us, and we had 300 students come in from the area, and we had different vendors come in and talk about different things and have different activities for them. And I think we provided them lunch. I mean, that was a few years back. So
Yeah.
I've slept a lot since.
Yeah, I'm
But it was a great thing. It was one of the requirements. We haven't done it since. We have had other events. I mean, we've sponsored robotics events. We had the state Vex Robotics tournament at the Pryor Center this year. We have offered TSA events. We've hosted all sorts of things. But yeah, and we've hosted an esports tournament as well.
So with some of those, individuals you talked about earlier that own their own LLCs that works in some companies where I don't know. What other kind of success stories have you seen, whether it be with esports or application for military? Can you give us not like deep examples, but give us some examples of students that have moved on into that workforce using those skills that they learned at the Innovation Center?
Sure. One of our aviation students was the Oklahoma Aviation Student of the Year, and he's now at OSU, and he's working on drones and was what he's doing. We have had one student that just kind of investigated videography at our place, and he's now working. And I may get it wrong. I think it's Channel 9 in Oklahoma City. It's one of the Oklahoma City stations, but he's working there doing videography and filming for them. He created his own LLC, and that's kind of growing from that. One of the students that you talked about that created the app, he's working for Air Hygiene in Broken Arrow, and they do stack testing, and he's doing a lot of IT stuff for them. He doesn't even have his degree yet working on that, but I know people at Air Hygiene, and we had a conversation, and they said, "Do you have anybody that could do this?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I've got one that can do it." He's also the one that started his own LLC. So he's done that. He helps me out with things, especially computer-based, that I don't understand sometimes. So we have a lot of success stories. I mean, those are the ones that just come off the top of my head right now.
Yeah. I mean, again, you're a foreign language to me. I went to a very small school in Western Oklahoma. We were one of the top schools for college for small schools. It was a very big school. There's still a very big school. Family lives out there. It's just not even understanding. And now this is the early 2000s, but not even understanding that something like this 20 some years later could be even viable or even necessary for the education system. So it's really cool to learn. It's giving kids a great opportunity to uh, so I know that this is something they have to deal with, but what is that one thing or a couple things that is just hard with maybe the education system, innovation center that people may not understand?
Logistics.
Okay.
We offer transportation from the high school to the RSU campus, and keeping our schedules aligned. And you know how high schools are sometimes too. Hey, we're gonna have an assembly today. Well, that throws us a team. So just and making our admin understand that, and they've done a lot better job of it. But logistics, a kid will miss the bus, so guess who gets to drive over and pick him up? I drive my truck over and pick him up, or her. Most of them, and that's one thing. Most of our students are males, which is unfortunate. We need to see more females in the STEM fields. But So logistics and that transportation has kind of been the biggest thing. And just I don't think it's I think awareness too. This will help too. Just make people aware of what we have going on out there. Sometimes I see people that are going say, "Hey, we're going into engineering." Well, then you're taking an engineering class with us, which would be a good idea, but it doesn't fit into their schedule or what their mindset of what school should be. Sometimes, I guess.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
ain't well, especially one of the logistics part because again, coming from a school, West Oklahoma, I didn't do this, but I know students that did, Vo-Tech,
Sure.
and so kind of the same logistics issues that you may have because yeah, you have to bus. I mean, 6 kids from Arapahoe, Oklahoma, all the way out to Burns Flat, and that's 25 minutes away.
Yeah.
So you had to pay the bus driver, you got to pay the gas, all that stuff.
And that's one of the things we're not set up like a career tech, like there's an AM and a PM. Like they go for 3 hours at Northeast Tech. We're set up hour. So our kids can come out there for an hour. We try to keep them in 2 hour blocks as much as possible. I'll take 2 classes, but some will come out for an hour and that bus is going, if that makes sense. It's as soon as it drops them off, it's turning around and going and picking them back up. So we have a dedicated bus driver. Pryor does a good job of providing that for us to keep it going. So
let me ask you that question, man, because I don't know if you're an open campus or closed campus. If the students able to drive, are they allowed to drive themselves?
students can drive themselves. Yeah, we have passes for them, so they are allowed to drive themselves out there. We have one student last year who had one class at the high school and everything else was out the innovation center.
Really?
Yeah, and he's enrolling in the Northeast Tech EET program, the electrical engineering technical program for this year. That's what he's going to go on and do next. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's so cool. So we have a few more minutes. I just want to again thank you for coming out. But so a final recap. You got this great center. You've got great kids. I've met a number of them over the last few years, sponsoring the pit tournament.
yeah.
So give us a final takeaway. What do you want people to know? What do you want students to know? And what do you think could be the future? Let's say, I don't go out 5 years anymore, barely even go out 3 years. Here in a couple of years, what do you want to see happen out there at the Innovation Center?
I don't know if I want to see enrollment increase because I mean, and I do, but we want the kids that want to be out. Does that make sense? We want you to be out there. One thing we are working on too is working on capstone pieces. If our students have had 4 classes out there, they have the opportunity to take a capstone piece where we'd work on just projects, and they get to work on them on their own or in a group setting. So, for instance, one thing we're building right now, we've created a farm. We have a farm bot in the back where it's a robot that plants, waters, and weed eats on its own. Outside.
What?
Yeah. So it's out there. So yeah,
You all built that?
well, it's a kit. It's a
Okay.
kit. That, yes, I mean they had to build a raised bed. They had Mace County Hope donated the soil for us, and the robot it's basically like a CNC machine, but it'll go pick up the weed eater. It'll go pick up the water. It'll determine what needs to be planted where. You can see on your screen where everything is. And then what we're planning on doing, this is the first year we've done. So there's been some hiccups, some growing pains with it. But once we get growing full speed, our plan is to donate everything to Pryor Ministry Center so they can use it for the food bank. So that's kind of how we're doing that. So that's one neat thing that we're doing too. So yeah.
That's cool. Well, thank you for coming over here and giving us some of your time and telling this. I mean, great story. I knew you were over there the last few years. I kind of had an understanding. We've talked about building signs and things like that together over the last few years. I think that's awesome, and so I think this is a great thing. Even though I don't think you want enrollment to go up, but I think that's a good thing because that once they hear all of the great opportunities, hopefully more resources can come your way so that you can build it out.
It's a good problem. It would be a good
It
problem.
would be a good problem.
Yeah.
So again, thank you so much, Coach Dave, for coming out. Thank you for telling your story, and thank you all for listening to the Common Sense podcast. You all have a great day.